afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Josh Guillory Show. I am your grateful host. Head in studio with me, Q Money Magic Man. What up, Q?
Another beautiful day in Lafayette, Louisiana.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Life is great. All right, guys. So, man, this one, let me tell you. We're diving right in. We're diving right in on this wonderful Wednesday's hump day, by the way.
Hump day.
In the house. So, did you ever think you could try out for that Geico commercial?
If they would send me the role, I would give it a whirl.
I think you could do it.
I've had their insurance in the past, so.
hedging. That's good. Man, you can't make this up. All right, so let's go to college. Let's go to college campus right here. All right, so a liberal media group tied to Bernie Sanders folks basically just launched a project called More Perfect University. Okay. More Perfect University is to counter Turning Point USA's on campus or on college campus presence. So
what's it called again?
It's called More Perfect University.
Did they get the name from the lowest ranked option on the free version of ChatGPT?
It's from a group, More Perfect Union. They created it. But let's, exactly. Like, come on. So that's the play. You got this More Perfect University coming out saying, you know what, Turning Point USA and all your movement and your conservative movement on these college campuses, well, we're going to do one too. Well, let's just keep going. Because, eventually we're going to have to talk about college campuses already being a more perfect university. About as liberal as they could get. Outside a few professors, there are overwhelmingly and how did that happen? Just indoctrination and just over the years. But that's the play, guys. They want to recruit and train liberal content creators on campuses. Now, let that sit in for a second. On campus. But let's first go back to liberal content creators. So what are they trying to do? You think get online and be content, like produce content in that regard?
I think the liberals are going to try to learn how to use memes.
Oh my gosh.
Which would have been cool 5 years ago. But we moved on past that.
They'd have to find a sense of humor first.
That's also true.
I take that back. Progressives. Liberal, like I'm talking about tree-hugging liberals. I don't have a problem with them. But, they just, go in a corner, chain yourself to a tree, save the planet type stuff, but not really hurt anybody.
No blocking traffic.
Right. They wouldn't do that because they're just peaceful.
Exactly.
But these progressive folks, it's different. And because remember, there's a lot of good folks may listen to the show that might be left-leaning. That's cool. It's your prerogative. We believe in freedom of thought. Keep listening. Give you some other thoughts. But liberal content creators, when I hear content creator, I hear like social media influencer type stuff, put out, the whatever mass production. I'm not going to say mass media, but communicate to the masses. So basically they're going to get Facebook people?
I think so.
So you have to go to physical campuses to go get people to go online?
Well, we know they're not going to go to X, formerly known as Twitter.
No. That whole thing is funny. But yeah, so that's what they're doing on campuses, and I just want to let that sit in. All of it. We're talking about on college campuses. So college campuses, I might be out on a limb here, but college campuses have leaned left for decades in my observation.
A little bit.
I don't think that's controversial. That's reality. College campuses have been leaning left for a long time. Faculty, administration, student culture, speakers, programming, the whole environment. The whole environment trends one direction. So whenever we hear that the left needs to counter conservative influence on campus, I kind of laugh a little. I I don't roll my eyes. I just kind of laugh a little. I mean, we're talking about college campuses here. Because what they're really saying is this, okay? They don't like that conservatives are finally showing up. I think that's a pretty fair statement. You know, Turning Point USA didn't create a conservative majority on campus. They created visibility. They created almost like an outlet. It's okay for you to believe the way you believe. Or, you know, it's crazy. Folks would for a long time, I guess the last 80, 90 years, you'd hear, well, we go to college campus to not be restricted in thought, to be free of thought and be able to use our own minds and believe whatever we want to believe and all of these things. Well, I don't know. That was at some point such a liberal movement to have like an outlet. And now it's the conservatives that are saying, hey, you went way too crazy, way too far. And now, I mean, there's, you know, like, to talk about any conservative philosophies on campus, you're being risked here in some of these campuses from being blackballed. You're just gonna be done. But that's what Turning Point USA did, you know, and that's what it's all about. Visibility. You really, really, really break it down. It's about visibility. I mean, students who don't agree with the dominant culture, well, they're no longer sitting quietly. They're no longer just taking it in, and not being able to voice an opposing thought. You know, but they're organizing. They're speaking, pushing back appropriately, respectfully. That makes people uncomfortable. That makes the elites uncomfortable. See, control is something. Control and power, and they go together. And boy, anybody that wants power and anybody that wants control does not need to be in office. We need public servants. We're talking about campuses. Same thing here, though. You know, same thing here. All this independent thought. So that's why I hate conservatives on campus, because conservatives push personal responsibility. Conservatives know that the most efficient outcome to any solution, or efficient path to any solution, is at the most local level, starting with personal responsibility, then you grow from there. They don't like that. They want to control the masses. They want to put out their information centrally and just demand that everybody follow. And if you don't, you're an outcast. If you don't, you're all these things. All these bad things. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting, though. So they're not just organizing students. You would think this would be a student organization, student-driven. They're training content creators. That's what I thought I read in this article. Well, where do I begin with this? We're talking about college campuses and the internet. Two areas where you have a pretty good presence, liberals. Like, I don't understand this organization. You see what I'm saying? Content creator, okay. Because really, and now that if you look at it objectively, that is the real play. That is the real play. You know, it's about the narrative. It's about controlling the narrative. Short videos, social media clips, messaging that spreads fast. It's effective. This is politics in 2026, I suppose. But, speeches and rallies, it's like that's a thing. That might be a thing of the past. All these rallies and all that stuff. I don't know. But it's who controls the story in people's pockets. That's where it's at. And both sides know it. Both sides know it. I wouldn't say I'm mad about it. It's just what it is. Just like all these games with the census. Just like all these games with congressional districts and changing them and all that stuff. Hey, look. Don't call it policy. It's politics. Yeah. I've always said, even when I was in politics, which I am not and never will be again, but when I was, I could never understand that theory. I could never understand that thinking, you know? I really couldn't. The only thing bad with politics is politics. If people would just get in there and do policy and remember the folks that you represent and go out there and just go to bat for them, do the best you can, have good faith, operate in good faith, have good intentions, and, be done and get out. None of this staying around. Golly. Just like we're going to take a break here a little bit, but just like yesterday when we talked about, there's a push to limit the governor's terms to only 2. You can't do 2, sit out, and then come back to 2. I don't think that's passing, but I wonder who's it targeted at. Because is it targeted at Governor Landry? Because he's not indicated he's going to run for a 3rd term if he gets elected for a 2nd, and I don't see that happening. You do?
No, but I have some gut feelings on who it might be targeting.
JBE?
I think so.
I think the Democrat legislature is pushing it.
Oh,
is it? You saw it differently?
I'm speculating.
That's funny. Man, I didn't think about that. But it could be. Could be to ban old JBE. I just don't think. I think John Bel Edwards could win one statewide election.
Agreed.
One, and that would be against Bill Cassidy for U.S. Senate.
I agree.
I don't think he can win a governor spot again. I think there's too much baggage now. I think there's too much ties to Biden and COVID. And I was in the trenches with them at the time, and when it started off, it was like me and John Bel Edwards seeming conservative, and the other mayors, I'm talking about the big cities, being real close this down. And then about 2 weeks later, he caved in. Doggone it. But that's all right, though. Yeah, that's an interesting thought, Q. I don't know. I hadn't thought about that. Maybe it is targeted JB, but we'll come back to these college campuses. Are you going to go join, what's it called, More Perfect University? Oh, my goodness. I thought More Perfect University was already on the campuses. It seems like it. I don't know. Maybe they need to organize. But look, we'll be right back. Stick around. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Man, let me tell you about my friends over there at Giles Subaru off of Johnson Street here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Man, Giles Subaru, it's excellent customer service. Look, you walk into Subaru, and I hear Bob talk about this all the time. Subaru owners are kind of like a club, and it's neat. I did not realize how strong the doggone Subarus are with their frame and their power, but I mean, folks get it a lot of times, their comfort for their drive, just stability. You don't have much maintenance issues. And the cool thing about Giles Subaru, look, if you do have maintenance issues, I'm telling you, you're going to feel good about it. You may even feel better about it, believe it or not, because you can go into the Giles Subaru workshop back there in maintenance. They will take care of your car. They're going to leave your car better than what you found it. That's their mission. So that's what they like. They go out their way to do that, and it shows. But the coolest thing I think about Giles Subaru, yeah, they have great cars and great staff, and they will take care of you. They have a new dog park. They have a dog park, and it's both big breeds and small breeds, and that's a big deal. Okay, so there's a separator. But Bob says it's underutilized. It's out in the back, But look, I've seen it. It is first class. If you're into that, you got dogs, you want to try it out, go to Giles Subaru. They got good cars too, but but go check out their dog park. I certainly love it. Man, let's go back to these college campuses. So they just that we have this organization called Turning Point. Yeah, there's Turning Point USA. Well, there's this group, More Perfect Union, who created More Perfect University. It's to counter Turning Point USA's presence on college campus. They want to get all these content creators. We don't need to be on campus to be a content creator, but okay, maybe they're wearing shirts or something. Oh, that's old school. Yeah, you don't do that. I mean, speeches and rallies seem to be starting to fade. I don't know. We say they're fading out, but I mean, the two of the last three presidents have had really big rallies. Trump and Obama.
Yeah.
Biden was kind of just hanging out. I don't know.
Well, he did what he could from his basement.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It takes a lot.
It does.
It takes a lot. I wonder how many hours in the basement he spent in 2020.
That's a really good question, because he definitely wasn't out campaigning.
Dude, that was a joke, man.
He was on Zoom. He was Zoom campaigning.
Hey, pal. Hey. So I actually think this is this whole thing. I keep saying Turning Point. More Perfect University, this liberal group that wants to counter Turning Point USA's presence on campus. This may be healthy in one sense. Maybe. You want more voices? Fine. Let them speak. You really let them speak. You want more debate? Great. Let it happen. Let it happen. Truth holds up under pressure. Truth holds up under pressure. But here's a little teaching moment, and I think it matters a lot. I think it's important when institutions lean heavily one way for a very long time. They stop being places of learning, and they start becoming places of reinforcement. Past indoctrination, just reinforcement. It's an observation. Students don't grow in that environment. They get indoctrinated, they memorize, they repeat, they signal. Real education sharpens you. Pressure will do that too, but it sharpens you, it challenges you. That's real education, challenges you, pushes you to learn something different in a different environment, or an environment that's not your normal environment, that you can show employers and society that you can have the capacity to retain information and time manage. And that's what education, especially higher education and colleges and universities across our country have done for a long time. And so when one side dominates completely, the sharpening that we're talking about disappears. There's no tug there. There's no going back and forth. There is no diversity of thought on our campuses for the most part. For the most part. Maybe that's changing. So what you're seeing right now is just a correction. And that happens with a lot of organizations. A lot of organizations will go in there and they'll just need to restructure. Step back. Seeing what the correction should be. I don't know if the universities are doing that, but Turning Point USA has surely made them think a little bit. I mean, look at this. There's probably no telling how many faculty is involved in that organization. But conservatives stepping into spaces they used to avoid, well, that's new. Used to everybody had their little camps, but I mean, I'm a conservative. I went to college, and there's a lot of other conservatives. Now, I was in the College of Business. We kind of had our conservative wing, so I wasn't really exposed as much until I went out to these different halls. Like, I'd go to Griffin Hall for RUL people. You know, there were some left-leaning folks over there. Some other colleges in the university, probably all of them except business. But maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. But conservatives going in all these little places, that's different. And Charlie Kirk and all those guys with Turning Point USA really, really, really changed. They did change the game. Changed the game big time. And the response is to build infrastructure to push back. That's the deal. Yeah, it's not surprising. No one should be shocked here. That's very predictable. But we can also kind of keep it real too. If your ideas, like, let's be really, really real. If your ideas are strong, you don't need to build a system to protect them. I mean, the left-leaning ideas on ideology on campuses is totally insulated by faculty, insulated by tenured faculty, insulated by these campuses, insulated by just a very one-sided view in a place that's supposed to be very open-minded. Diversity of thought, unless you disagree. That sounds like something. But you put those ideas out there. You let people wrestle with them. Great. Students are smart. They can handle it. They can handle it, Q. Don't stress out about them. They don't need to be managed. We're trying to teach young adults. They don't need to be steered like a herd, and that's what some of these campuses, a lot of them treat their student body as. Herd the cattle. These students need exposure to different ways of thinking so they can figure out what's true, so they can figure out reality. And I'll say this too. A lot of students, they're not as locked in as people think either, by the way. I mean, they're searching, they're figuring things out, they're watching both sides, all the things. But, you know, from a conservative standpoint, actually is an opportunity. If the left is investing in messaging and training and all that, man, that means they feel some pressure, and pressure means competition. Competition is good. Forces everyone to sharpen up. So we'll see where this goes. You know, I was going to say move the mindset, but a more perfect university. Go check it out. I don't know what they're up to over there. We'll see, but they're there to counter Turning Point USA. Good job to all those guys at TP USA. Keep it up. And all right, guys, stick around. We'll take a tiny little break. When we get back, we're going to switch topics. I can't wait, though, because it's going to be fun. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Shout out to my friends over there at Stan's Auto, 2 locations, one in New Iberia, one in Lafayette, right off of Admiral Doyle, near the old J.P. Thibodeau in New Iberia, and also here right by Reds off of John Street, Ducey Road here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Go check them out, Stan's Auto, for all your automobile needs. Do like me and my family do, and Q does. We go to Stan's Auto, and they're quick and good. Love them. All right, now we've got the full picture here of the whole political checkerboard. That's what it is. Just hop around. All right, so Virginia, we covered this yesterday, but we got the outcome. So Virginia, well, yesterday they voted in favor of redrawing their congressional district maps. So their folks voted on it. How come our folks didn't vote on it?
Well, they got a little bit of a different process out there.
Okay. Well, makes sense. I was just curious. We vote on everything else.
That's true. I mean,
all the hard stuff, all the socially hard stuff, they punted to the folks. Why not this one?
I mean, we're even doing a teacher's pay raise on our Constitution up here soon.
And man, where are the like ditch digger union? Where's the ditch digging union?
Right.
Why aren't they in the Constitution? Why are ditch diggers in there? Why are all the public works or DOTD employees? Why aren't they I better be quiet. If I say this too loud, they might be in the Constitution. And I think it's so nonsense. Before we get in, you had to bring it up. So I think teachers should get a pay raise. Should be. They're offering $2,500 a year. Make it $5,000. Make it $5,000, but make it now and do it statutorily. Pass a statute. You control the budget. Pass a statute. Don't put it on us. Don't put it on we the people and sell it like some kind of nonsense. Like, well, you want teachers to get a pay raise? Actually, we do. I think most of us do. I really do think most of us do. But not like this. This is dangerous. Dangerous. You start doing it here, then you start doing it there. Look at all the other mandated financial responsibilities in our state constitution. Treat it like a constitution. But anyway, I digress. I'm just saying, where are the other government employees? Why aren't they in the Constitution protected with their pay raises? Are you going to put a pay raise in there? Okay. What happens when that amount is not enough? Well, you add it statutorily. You just games. Stop playing games with the Constitution. I mean, there was push for a constitutional convention, and I used to be so big on that. I'm listening to Moon over the years. He brought up some good points, and it's basically, look, you got to have the right players in place to have a good constitutional convention. You know, I like the players in play now more than I did the previous administration, for sure. So I think we get a better product, but I don't know if we'll ever agree on how to get there. And we might just be stuck with this 1974 Constitution that's been amended probably 4,382 times. What's 5 more? What's 5 more? Let's make sure we put it on an off election. It's not on the primary, is it? It might be. But still.
I don't think it is, now that we're saying it out loud.
That's crazy. So we're going to spend that much money on a special election for these kind of things. Man, there should be a rule. Like, you got one election a year. That you want to put your stuff on the election ballot is one time a year. And if there's a congressional race or a presidential race, which would be the same, if there's a congressional presidential race or a gubernatorial race, you got to be on that. Whatever the biggest turnout is, that's what you should be able to. You should have to put those on there. If you're really interested in getting the voice of a majority of the folks to come out and vote and things like that, put on an election that people show up. All right, now back to this. So Virginia moved forward with their referendum to the voters on if they could redraw these congressional districts, and the voters said yes. So now we can kind of start seeing the whole board kind of play out a little bit. You know, you got Texas over there that already moved. They changed some congressional districts. They took 5 Democrat-leaning districts and pushed them right. So Virginia went from 6-5 to 10-1, so that's -4. So just Texas is moved, and Virginia's moved. Republicans are +1. But you got other states. California answered. They shifted 5 Republican seats. Okay, so now Republicans are -4. Okay, don't worry. Missouri, North Carolina, small moves, 1 seat. See, 1 seat helps. One. Wonder why I'm saying that. Where do I live?
Louisiana?
That's right. And we could do this too.
I think we did.
Huh. We added a Republican seat.
No, we added a Democrat seat.
Wait, hold on. I thought you told me we had a super majority in the House and the Senate.
We do.
And we added a Democrat seat?
We did.
Wow.
But we sued the federal government first.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then we sued them again to undo what we sued them for.
Oh, we did a little switcheroo.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense when I say it out loud either.
I know. You know what, though? Obviously, talking tongue-in-cheek. I will say this. The state of Louisiana did pivot on that and now says that the Voting Rights Act is unconstitutional as it relates to gerrymandering and forcing these minority seats when we're in 2026, okay? So I will give the state credit. I'll give the Attorney General and everybody else credit for this. They self-corrected.
In a short period of time?
In a short period of time. So I'm going to see the good in this and not the bad. I'm going to see the good because there is good in that. You heard overwhelmingly from the folks that we didn't like that we felt bamboozled. We felt tricked and lied to, quite frankly. But once you heard it, you pivoted, and now we're arguing against it. It's interesting, but the AG's doing her deal, and that we appreciate that. The legislature, well, I mean, you could pass a law right now and add a seat. You could do it right now. I mean, unless it's April, maybe it's too late. And if it is, wow. If it is, wow. That's all I gotta say. I mean, we know how to call special elections or special. Well, we know how to do that too, but we know how to do special sessions.
That's for sure.
So you had all these, and I threw in more North Carolina, Missouri, and those other states. But Virginia comes in and says, we're going big. See, Missouri, North Carolina, that's like 1 seat, okay, but those add up. Virginia comes in and says, we are doing this big league. 10 to 1. Golly, 10 to 1 if this holds. That is wow. Because there's some arguments that maybe the Supreme Court would overturn that. How? I mean, wouldn't Calais, the case that we're talking about, which Louisiana is pushing, Calais is before the Supreme Court. Our position is that it violates the Constitution, this Voting Rights Act's provision. But I mean, that should answer it. So if the Supreme Court rules in Louisiana's favor on this new position and says it's unconstitutional, well, then sure, Virginia could do it.
Well, it depends.
Okay, talk to me.
There are some alleged deficiencies in procedure and how it got to the ballot.
Oh, well, that's different. Yeah, so the process was not followed, the proper procedures. Yeah, that's a big deal. So you got to do that. You got to follow all the steps when you pass a constitutional provision or statute or anything at any level of government. All righty, but that's all the time we have in this segment. We'll be right back. I can't wait. Q, don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Shout out to my friends over there at Praise Jones, man. Oh, you know what? Let me tell you. Guess what? Is it gummo weather?
Man, it's been cool the last couple days, but you know what day every day is?
Gumbo weather.
Yep.
It's gumbo. I don't care if it's 100 degrees. It's gumbo weather. Put some ice in it.
Adjust those thermostats.
Exactly, man. Come on. This is Louisiana. We got some. Well, go to Prejean's. They got some, okay? Seafood, regular chicken and sausage, whatever it is. They got great salads, too, if you're watching your caloric intake. We have Wellness Wednesday later today, so we got to make sure we're all in our P's and Q's and making sure we're eating healthy. Getting your sunlight. I'm listening, Dr. Kevin. Get your sunlight out there. But yeah, man, go check out Prejean's. You can't go wrong with them, man. 2 locations. You got the one classic location between Karen Crow and Lafayette off of I-49. And you got the new location right off by Morgan Street and Broussard, right off the highway, literally right by the railroad tracks. So really great. And if you are ever putting signs in the ground over there, bring a drill. No personal experience. But anyway, hey, look, we're talking about Virginia. Virginia goes in there yesterday and says, "Hey, guess what, guys? We could play this little game too. This is all gerrymandering now. Everybody's doing it. But it's gerrymandered to political parties. That's just the game, man. It's a silly game. But we're kind of trying. Q and I are trying to talk about the entire game, like the big picture here, because you got Virginia, who definitely took a swing, netted 4 seats for the Democrat Party. If that holds up, Q is bringing up some good points about process. Perhaps it wasn't passed properly. If that's the case, then it has no merit once a court deems that, and it's retroactive. It's like it never happened. I guess depending on the rule, but in this case, yeah. But then you got Texas, so Republicans, you're -4 on Virginia, but then you're +5, right, in Texas, so that puts you +1. Then California comes, and they added how many?
I don't remember how many California added.
But I thought it was like 5 too. But whatever it is. But so we're definitely as Republicans at a minus right now. But then you got folks like North Carolina and Missouri who added, I think, 1 respectively. So now you're still -2 or 3, and we only have a 2-seat. Was it 2-seat majority? 2-seat majority. So we're like razor thin here, razor thin. I mean, it could be 1-seat majority one way or the other. But it is frustrating. Look, man, it's frustrating because if we lose the House by 1 vote, by 1 seat, I'm gonna be so mad at my state. I'm serious because we did it, and we didn't have to. We didn't have to. And we've been in this. It's 2026. This round was elected in 2023. Took office January 1st, 2024. And that's something. But look, that's the game. That's the whole game. You know, when you are if you're listening right now, I want you to hear this. And I want you to see this like, you know, the grown-up that you are, not a talking point. This is not chaos. It still seems like it. This is a system being used exactly how it can be used by people who want power. Now, I ain't saying that's bad or good necessarily, okay? Because you run for office to get the power. Now, I say this all the time, and I mean this. Anybody individually that wants the power or the control should never be in office. That's the person you don't want in office, okay? But you run to acquire the power to do the initiatives that you said you were going to do. That's ultimately, I mean, that's my viewpoint. I mean, that's my belief. And I think that should be the belief for everybody. And I think it is. For the folks, it is. I don't know about these other people. But that's what you should be doing. But this is all about power. And you can't help people without the power. But power, it's like, what do you do with it? It's only good if you use it to help and do good things, to help people. Otherwise, you're wasting time, and you're wasting tax dollars, and you're wasting everything for personal gain. And that is not how the system was designed. That's not how our country was designed. Our country was designed to have public servants lead and not retire from government. Our founders wouldn't even know what 2 things are. What is government retirement and what is a government employee? I mean, yeah, I'm sure they paid some folks, but really, I mean, if you compare it, I know we only had 13 to start off, but I get it, man. It's but if you look proportionately at what's going on, the people that were in charge, the voice. By the time we got to 1789, I don't know how many states we had at that point, but by the point we went to 1789, when the Constitution was finally ratified and in place, look proportionately at population to legislator to congressman to budget. Forget the personnel. Go to the budget. Go to the control. Go to the power of government and look at it proportionately with the smaller populations that they had and compare it to today. It's nuts. It's kind of like these prices. If you ever go to Wikipedia, I'm such a nerd, and you go to like these stadiums or wherever, you see when they're built and they'll put the price. And you're like, that's not too bad. And they'll put the modern price in 2026 or whatever. You're like, wow, that's really not that expensive. But if you actually go to 2026 and you try to build that same stadium, it's like 7 or 8 times the amount. This is kind of the same fuzzy math, George W. Or was it Al Gore that said that? I think George W. said Al Gore had some fuzzy math. You're on it now, W. All right, we got time. We're good. Oh, gosh. Okay. Well, we're going to go into hour number 2. We're going to keep talking about this Virginia thing because it has an impact on the rest of the country, clearly. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to hour number 2 of the Josh Guillory Show. I remain your grateful host, very grateful host. And in studio with me still, Q Money Magic Man. What up, Q?
Another beautiful day in Lafayette, Louisiana.
It certainly is. It certainly is on this hump day, Wednesday. Man, you guys, I hope y'all are having a great time. Go check out my friends over there at Dino's. Q, I thought about you. I can't believe this. Yesterday I mentioned this to Walk and the crew. For the first time in my life, I had the Jacques Boudreau.
I have never had it. I always get a Marie Laveau.
I thought that you loved the Jacques Boudreau. I bragged on you yesterday and said, oh, I'm going to tell Quinn, but it's the Marie Laveau. You like the Marie Laveau. That's right. That's right.
I love the fresh crab meat.
It is. That's how I got Jamie to be okay with it. Because I was like, I know Tim. She's like, yeah, I know. The ingredients are good. We're good. But dude, every pizza's great. They have such a variety. But I'm telling you, that Jacques Boudreau, man, golly, I might go get one right now, right after the show. All right, so let's go back to Virginia. Let's go back to Florida, North Carolina, Missouri, Texas, California, New York. All the states getting involved. Well, no, all the states. We participated too.
We did.
We participated in shaping Congress. Louisiana did. I'm just gonna leave it at that. So that's what you're watching here, though. A bunch of power plays, and that's the battlefield. I got it. But we used to talk about elections like they were the main event. Not too long ago. We used to talk about that. Election day. Votes. We used to talk about turnout. We used to talk about messaging. And that's still real. Got to do all that. But what's happening now is the pregame is becoming more important than the game itself. Line drawing. That's where the leverage is right now in 2026. Drawing the lines, drawing the congressional lines. We've been doing, oh man, we've been doing it for a while, just not like this. So you move the lines, you move the outcome. And both sides have accepted that. Don't think this is a Democrat thing. Don't think it's a Republican thing. Both sides have accepted this openly. No hiding it anymore. Started off with Louisiana, giving the Democrats a seat. It's mind. It is mind-boggling. But whatever. Okay, so we had that. And you had all these other. Texas comes in. We're gonna add some seats to the Republican side. Well, what do you think was gonna happen? You think the Democrats were not gonna do that? It's just like in Congress. It's just like with lawfare. It's with everything else. When both sides start to do it, then you're done. I mean, you have to. I mean, we could get past this whole gerrymandering to get seats thing. That this is probably just a fad. Okay, I would imagine probably a 15-year fad, maybe a 20-year fad. But I think we recover from that because you can. Well, we can't recover from all that lawfare stuff, and that's dangerous. But look, you had Obama, you had President Obama out there pushing this same thing when he was in office. This is not new. You had Trump pushing it in other states. You got Eric Holder now saying handle the crisis now. Fix the system later. That's an admission. It's not subtle. Remember Eric Holder?
Barely.
Fast and Furious, man.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that where the U.S. imported weapons into Mexico?
What?
Under the Obama administration and then lost track of them?
Lost track of a sensitive item?
They wouldn't have done that.
They were too busy giving cash and prisoners. So, generals at that. But look, that's a whole, win now, clean it up later. That's what that is. So let's bring it back to something that is a little more important to regular folks. You're probably sitting there thinking like, how in the heck does this hit me anyway? What are you two guys talking about? Well, here's how. Representation. Very clear. If maps get stretched far enough, your vote still counts, but the outcome starts feeling predetermined. How can it not? How can it not? That's where people start checking out, get a little apathy. That's where frustration builds. And once people stop believing that the system reflects them, everything else starts getting shaky. See, we had a system for a long time where people looked at it and saw a mirror. They saw themselves in it. They saw an opportunity in America to do whatever they want, as long as it's legal, and go be the best they can. And I'm telling you, things have changed. I was thinking about this last night, Q. Not to get all dramatic, but this is my genuine belief. For the first time in my life, I got to watch what I say on this thing.
Yeah.
I really do. Like it's, I started feeling that probably about a year and a half ago, just kind of looking around, just looking, like seriously, used to, you could say whatever. I mean, you had freedom of speech and there was no consequences or whatnot, but now these days, man, I don't know. You upset the wrong person and all of a sudden you're in all this trouble or whatnot. And it's so sad, but I can imagine, and I say that the big plural I, not me individual. I'm talking about like this, you are on the mic, those people in the other studio on the mic. There's news journalists out there that are trying to keep up, like if someone now, I'm telling you, are you going to face the Gestapo? Because both sides are using the DOJ. Both sides are weaponizing the Department of Justice. Both sides are weaponizing law enforcement across the country. More so prosecutions. I don't blame the officers, but more so the prosecution side, using prosecutorial agencies for political gain. And I look at that the same as this gerrymandering that we're talking about. We as a country are going into so many areas that we never thought we would go into. And some of those can self-correct. Most of them I think can, but some of it can't. And I keep harping on that whole judiciary thing because it means something. It means something. If we let radicals in and stay in like that, then it's you don't have a lot of them. Like we talk about a few judges here and there. For a while there was almost like every other day there was something to cover on that. But they're so far and few between. Most judges are so good, so honest. I'm just telling you, just my experience. Doing the court usually does. Of course, there's some outliers. But I think the real harm here is in these prosecutorial agencies, from the DOJ all the way to your local whatever, your AG or your DA's office. And it's really not AG's office. They got other things. But and this is across the country. This is from Wyoming to Florida and everywhere else. It's kind of a culture. It's an attitude. I think it started with Trump. I think it started with the DOJ messing with Trump, and you saw it. You saw the lawfare. You like look at New York, for example. With Letitia James and all that, Alvin Bragg. You had a U.S. citizen. He wasn't the president anymore. You had a U.S. citizen a couple years after the fact that they go out there, they run on getting him. They couldn't get him on a misdemeanor that they thought they had him, like that's what he really did. That expired. So they couldn't bring that. So what do? They find some felony. They stretch out that felony based on this misdemeanor that they could never get. They literally, no pun intended, trump up these charges. They go through. I wish that the president, my only frustration, I wasn't advising him. I wish I could, but the only thing I was upset was I think they should have appealed that. He won the election, then kind of everything went away. I thought he should appeal. And maybe there's out there somewhere and I don't know about it, but I'm pretty sure that just kind of went away. He should have appealed that, going all the way to the Supreme Court if you had to, or at least appeal it, because I don't think you don't need to be a legal scholar to understand what they did to Donald J. Trump, American citizen. He wasn't the president. What they did to him in New York, stretching out that prosecution like that on political gain and just really just dictating every part of it, that's so wrong. That's so wrong, man. And if it can happen to him, it does happen to other people. It's just, But when we go back to this Virginia power move, it's the same as Texas. Texas did a power move. Once we did that, we had to know it was coming. But here's the part where I think we have an opportunity to stay grounded and honest here. This is the battlefield now. We have to accept that this is the battlefield right now. And we wouldn't be grounded in reality if we pretended otherwise, you see? But we don't, we have some folks on the sidelines sitting there and saying, well, I wish it was different. It's not. This is it. This is where the fight is. We have to accept that. So if you care about outcomes, if you care about policy, not politics, that's horrible, horrible, horrible thing. But if you care about all that, if you care about direction, this is part of the fight. This is where we're at. And I don't like it. I'd rather elections be decided on ideas. I'd rather elections be decided on, it would be wonderful if more people would say, this is what I'm running on, and then you get in office and you actually do it. That would be kind of cool, be kind of refreshing. But I'm going to say something it might hit a little different here, but we got a lot of people in charge, like a lot of people in charge right now that treat this like a game of shortcuts. That's what we have right now. Leaders in charge on the Republican side and Democrat side really, really treat all of this like a game of shortcuts. We're talking right now, the philosophy is quick wins, short-term advantages. Push it now, deal with the consequences later. That's how you end up with this back and forth map war across the entire country. And that's what we're seeing right now. And I'll say it how it feels. It feels to me, it feels to me that like children are running something that requires grown-ups. That's what I think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, only a child would look at a process and go, what can I trade to get my toys or my snacks faster? And I don't see this any differently. We're trading a temporary win for a long-term loss and detriment to our country. It's one thing to have a party affiliation and to support a party. It's another thing to use our systems of government to rig elections to where only your party can win.
Let that sit in, because that's exactly what's going on. But again, it feels like children are running something that requires grown-ups, man. Grown-ups think, to your point, Q, grown-ups think long-term.
Yes.
Long term, we're grown ups, okay? Grown ups think about trust in the system, and these guys are blowing that trust. They're blowing the trust in our electric process with all this map stuff. They're creating elections where it's predetermined, pretty much, so you get voter apathy. This is going to be not our shining moment. Okay, we're going to look back and say we were children. We were children because grown ups think about trust. That is part of it, not just winning the next round. So that we'll talk about that, but maybe so much more when we get back. But that doesn't mean you sit there and lose on principles, and that's what's really frustrating me right now. We are on the cusp of something so big in our country, and we're screwing the pooch. So, anywho, all right, guys, stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show. Man, go check out my friends at Giles Subaru right off of Johnson Street here in Lafayette, Louisiana. Man, I'm starting to really, really like the Subaru crew. That's what I'm going to start calling, man. It's definitely a club. You know, you start looking at that, like, really all the things that a Subaru can do. I mean, you can take them things camping. You can take them off-road if you want to. I mean, to each his own. But it's just a reliable vehicle, you know. And the thing is, you can get reliable vehicles everywhere. And there's a lot of great places. And I'll tell you, though, Giles Subaru, you get a great Subaru, great. But the service, you can't beat. I mean, when you take that car in for a maintenance, they will leave your car better than when they found it. And they're not going to bamboozle you. I mean, Bob and them, they take pride in bringing value. Actually, I've never seen someone so dedicated to exceeding a customer's value, expected value, than Bob Giles does. Giles Subaru, man, like, go in there, check out the cars. They have a great facility. You can walk in the showroom. You can see the newest, latest, and greatest. I also noticed the affordability, too. And they have some plans there that you can talk to them about financing and stuff. But, you know, a really cool feature about Giles Subaru, not all the Giles locations, but Giles Subaru on Johnson Street, they have a really, really, really nice dog park. This is a new facility, okay? It's only like a couple years old. Go check out that dog facility. They got good cars there, too. I always joke. But and the neat thing is, if you got big breed or small breed, you can go bring them over there to Giles Subaru. We want to see more people out there. I know Bob wants to see more folks out there. Bring your pets, guys. It's kind of hidden behind the Giles Subaru location. Hidden jewel. Literally a hidden treasure. So, open to the public over there. Good deal. All right, so let's move on here. Give a little update. There's a little something going on in Iran. You heard about it?
I heard they got a new Ayatollah.
Yeah, they did. We're on committee number 7. Iran is getting more dangerous, but also more predictable at the same time. I mean, we're talking about a Mid-Eastern country that's ruled by a dictator. What do you think? So the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC is what the cool kids call it. Well, the IRGC, they're tightening its grip on the entire country. Not a military organization in the Middle East. But the thing is, they're not even doing it behind the scenes anymore. They're pretty much out in the open. They're out in the public doing this. So we got reports that Iran's president can't even access the supreme leader. Let that sink in. Supposedly the elected head of government. What's his 99%?
No, that's the North Korean level.
Oh, that's right. And the Saddam, right.
Yep, yeah. They would allow 1% of dissent.
Yeah.
Iran is a little bit more diverse.
Okay.
In that you can dissent by voting for one of the other approved candidates.
Okay, there you go. So they do have a choice of whatever the Ayatollah gives you, A, B, C, or D.
Pretty much.
And whichever one the people decide, well, they decide, and then I'll tell them what to do. I'm
not even sure if they actually count the ballots.
Yeah, that would be, why? That'd be such a waste of time. They're big on efficiency. So yeah, but we got these reports saying all that. So, you know, when you got the elected head of government boxed out, that's kind of interesting, you know. So right now there's basically a military council that's making these decisions. And really the military council is what is limiting or allowing the access to the Ayatollah. So they're the gatekeepers. Well, I mean, what do they have? Ayatollah like in a room somewhere, just sitting there and say, "We'll tell you when we want to do a video."
I think he might be on some ventilation equipment.
We haven't seen him.
No.
All we get are these statements from the IRGC.
I mean, at least Bin Laden would send a VHS tape out every so often. This guy won't even do that.
Yeah. You think that, I mean, they still have VHS.
I mean, look, they could get a combo VHS, DVD. They could have the burner for both.
Yeah. Because they would want, yeah, you could do the whole that. I mean, you wouldn't want to give out signal. You know, they wouldn't want to stream it or anything. Not that, I don't know, man. It's, at this point, I just feel like the USA is just kind of, and Israel is just kind of letting them survive, you know?
I think so. I mean, at this point, we've proven that we can eliminate any Iranian leader pretty much at our or Israel's discretion.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty wild to think about. But I mean, we got a lot of things going on in the country. We're not even going to be able to get a chance to talk about Cuba and that recent development, But going to Iran, all of this tells you who's running the show, and it's the guard. I mean,
Yep.
hands down. And this didn't happen overnight. This has been brewing for a little bit. This has been building for years. The IRGC already controlled major parts of the economy because that's what the military does, of course. They already controlled the missile program, for example, the nuclear program. And now they're stepping fully into political control. So this is a new area there. This is a military regime basically wearing a political mask. That's pretty much what it is.
It's exactly what it is.
Now, layer that, okay, on top of what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. Like I'm saying, like overlay that on you know what I mean? Get your Venn diagram. I heard the former vice president likes Venn diagrams.
I did not see that.
I'm just saying. I don't just tell you what they said. So you got Iranian forces seizing ships. I'm talking about the Strait of Hormuz, opening fire, taking control of commercial vessels, and pulling them into Iranian waters. All right. You may have saw 2 ships just got recently grabbed, damaged, boarded, taken. That's escalation. At the same time, you got the U.S. Navy over there intercepted an Iranian vessel, disabled it, and took control after a standoff. So it's pretty heating. You got action on both sides, by the way, and not theoretical tension anymore. I mean, we got actual contact. So this is movement. But we'll talk about that when we get back. We'll wrap a bow on this little topic, man. So many things going on in the world. It is hot and heavy, but we're happy to talk with you. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Josh Guillory Show, man. Shout out to my boy Kish over there, Keith Kishby at Kishby Construction, man. You want to know American Patriot? My friend Keith Kishby, man. Just thank you. Look, on a personal note, thank you for all that you do for our community. I see you out there, man. I've seen you for years. Keith Kishby and Kishby Construction going out there helping people in need. I remember them putting a roof on a house when some poor little lady got damaged in one of the storms a few years ago. But that's just one. I'm missing so many examples. But look, on the construction side, if you want quality construction, call my boy Keith Kishby at Kishby Construction, man. Amy over there at his office, I know her personally. She's gonna put she's gonna put your mind at ease. She's gonna help you with options that you have and not pressure you. Really walk you through the whole process. If you got somebody like me, which I've used Kishby Construction multiple times, multiple projects, but I don't want to make all them dang decisions all the time. I got other things to make decisions on. And what Amy and them did at Kishby Construction is they just make it easy. I don't know how to say that. It's efficient. They give you real options that you can make a decision in a relatively quick manner. And they just make it happen. So go check them out. Kishby Construction. Thank y'all for the support of the Josh Guillory Show, too. Certainly appreciate that. That's just a bonus, huh?
Yes, indeed.
That's what I'm saying. So we were talking about Iran. We're talking about Iran and the guard, basically, the IRGC. And Q, you had some good observations. They've masked this as this big religious state,
Right.
the Islamic State, this supreme leader of the end-all, be-all on any religious matters and any government matters. Like he was the Ayatollah supreme leader. But I think they were just using religion now just to totally abuse people and in their most vulnerable state. Religion, relying on God and going to God, probably really, really great folks, just trying to honestly and genuinely practice their faith. And then when you're in that state, like I'm Catholic, it'd be like my priest up there preaching to go take arms, what I mean? Like, or whatever, doing these extreme things for the faith. And what's your thoughts?
Well, when we look back at the Iranian Revolution, it didn't start off as a Islamic heavy movement. It was students. It was a very diverse coalition
Yeah.
dedicated to eliminating the Shah. And I can understand that, but immediately after the Shah was gone, the religious fanatics took over, similar to what happened in Afghanistan after the U.S. Ended arms supplies to defeat the Soviets. So you end up with these fanatics. Now they need a reason to hold on to power. And they reached into faith, and they were able to grab a hold of people's deeply held beliefs, manipulate them, and secure their power. At the same time, they killed anyone who disagreed with them. So this is, yeah,
Probably in line with the faith, right?
absolutely. If you disagreed on anything,
Jeez.
you were a heretic and you needed to be eliminated.
Right.
And they kept that facade up for years with the Ayatollahs. How often do we really hear from the Ayatollahs?
You just saw appearances.
Right.
Like, now that you think about it, everyone, look, he come out with the whole, whatever, he comes out and says a few little things and then kind of goes back behind the curtain.
Yep. And I mean, look at the pictures of them throughout the country. So in the U.S., you walk into a federal building, there's a picture of the president, vice president, and all that. It's a modern picture.
Mm-hmm.
Walk into a building in Iran and you get Khomeini, and it looks like it was taken in the 1950s amidst traversing hostile terrain, okay? And it's an entirely different light. It paints him as a saint. It doesn't paint him as a leader.
Right, something way bigger, like almost like supernatural, which he's not.
Exactly.
But that's the kind of, now that you say it, though, the IRGC probably the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Just like this is what they do. This is their influence.
Absolutely.
That's wild. Hey, but look, we could tie it together too, though. When you have the military like this taking over decision making inside a country like Iran, all right, diplomacy gets much weaker and confrontation seems to get much stronger. You ever notice that?
Absolutely.
Look at what we're looking at right now. And that's just how it works. Military leadership sees the world through strength, pressure, and leverage. We don't look at things as a compromise. So that's a totally different mindset. So when you hear about ceasefires, negotiation, talks, and all that stuff, you got to understand who's actually making those decisions.
Yep.
It ain't the Ayatollah and it ain't the president. Right now, it looks like the IRGC is calling the shots. And that changes everything. Because the Guard has a long track record here. They fund proxies. They push conflict across the region. They play the long game, and they're willing to absorb pressure. Now, you've also got uncertainty at the very top. You see? You got Khomeini Jr., or the third, the son stepping into power. Or he's the second, I think. No, he's the third.
He's the third.
He's the third. Khomeini the third. He's reportedly insulated. I mean, you got like hard to reach, surrounded by security layers, controlled by the Guard. But we don't even know if he's alive. You had reports that he's missing a leg. You had reports that he's killed. You had reports that he's unconscious. But one thing we do know is the IRGC is controlling every access to him, and that creates a vacuum. And power vacuums don't stay empty. They get filled by whoever has force. And right now, that is the IRGC. And you take that with the Strait of Hormuz, you take that with all the things that are going on, and it creates a really serious situation there. And when you pull the curtain back and you see the negotiations from Marco Rubio and President Trump, Secretary of State and the President, you can see the difficulties there. You have a true head of state, the 21 gun salute guy, which is Khomeini, all right? Then you got the 19 gun salute, I'm being real formal, 19 gun salute guy and the president. That's just how they're ranked. But they're not even really running it. It's the IRGC. So can you see how the negotiations from the United States, Israel side, at least the United States and Iran, who are you talking to? Because IRGC, they're such radicals. They ain't talking. They're just fighting. They want to fight. They want to carry this thing out. They just want to wait it out. All right. But that's all the time we got today.